Okay, we should be live. Let me make sure I'm muted. There we go. All the little things I've learned if you don't do. Okay, so hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
Of course. I'm excited to talk to you because you have such an interesting product line. And I have so many questions, so many questions. But anyway, let's just start with a little bit about like, where are you?
So I'm located in Cleveland
Ah,
and I have been in the beauty industry for over 20 years now, which is just crazy. So I work behind the chair as a master stylist full time and have created over the years a line of skincare, hair care products that alleviate irritation when it comes to the skin and the scalp, even something for your pets.
it's so interesting because I feel like allergies and irritation have gotten so prevalent that it's become like everyone has an issue these days. And pets, I'm dealing with that now. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But a shout out to Cleveland. My husband went to school there, John Carroll.
Oh yeah, that's literally like down the street from where I work in
Oh,
Highland
so
Heights.
funny.
Yeah.
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 So we haven't been back there in a while. The last time I was in Ohio was for a 21 Pilots concert in Columbus, Ohio.
That's
Maybe I've
great.
driven through Ohio a few times. I'm from Chicago, so it's like we used to sometimes drive from New York to Chicago, and there's actually a great dog park somewhere in the center of Ohio that has like
Really?
a man-made lake.
Oh.
It's amazing because we've stopped there when we were driving and had our big dog with us, and he literally got out of the car and ran right in the lake and got completely full of sand and dirt. And then we had to drive the rest of the way. But
Oh,
I remember that's what I think about when I think of like driving through Ohio. But I digress. Let's talk about your
yes.
let's talk about your business. So, okay, let's start with the name.
Naprim.
Yes, is that how you say it? Naprim?
Naprim, yes. It gets pronounced Naprim, Naprim.
Yeah.
Naprim was a struggle. So, working behind the chair when I was developing our first product, the dusting powder, um, I wanted our clients to feel refreshed, to feel ready to go. Specifically was designed with short haircuts in mind. So, for men and women and kids, where they get, their neck cleaned up, they
Yeah.
irritation, they get rashes from the razors and edgers, or we nick them, cut them by accident. So this powder was translucent, so it was going to blend into all skin tones. It's good for all skin types, sensitive skin. We were seeing a lot of irritation with that. And it being unscented, so you could use it on women. That was my main driving force. I couldn't believe we just had a Club Men talc powder specifically scented for men for over 100 years, and nobody
Oh my
like
God.
wanted to do anything for women with short hair. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, that's so
Let alone,
interesting. You're right. I hadn't thought of that.
yeah, we had nothing for women and for kids specifically. Um, a lot have sensory, irritations and sensitivities to the noises of the clippers and the edgers. So when we put the powder on their neck, it was very calming to them. And then we would use the razors and edgers, and then we would wipe off those pesky hairs and the itching and the squirming. Like I just saw all of these problems and we didn't have a need for it. So I'm like, well, I'm going to create one because, like, why not? you
Yeah.
know?
Why not? Okay, but where did
Yeah.
the name come from?
So Naprim was, I was trying to trademark naturally prim, and I couldn't
Ah,
because it was
okay.
too close to other products and brands. So one night I was driving home in frustration, talking to my sister on the phone. I was like, I don't understand why we just can't call it Naprim. I was like, oh, I kind of like that. She's like, yeah. So I merged naturally prim
Okay.
together. I wanted
Brilliant.
them to feel like good. It's about the haircut experience, and I wanted to feel ready to get back to work, ready to go play outside, whatever it was. So that's where it came from.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good story. And trademark, oh my God, because we're going through our own rebrand because of our
Yes.
friends at Ulta who didn't like us using the words conscious beauty.
Yeah.
Um, which is that's a whole different conversation, but it's not easy when you're a small brand to navigate the trademark world. And we have actually a couple of the brands in the PBC have had to modify because of that exact issue you're talking about. We had a brand, Viking Beauty, who had to add the word secrets to her name to get it through the trademark gauntlet. And then where was the other one that had topical skin also had like there's just anyway.
So
So I'm
much.
glad you figured out a solution. It's funny because my brand is Masami. I'm actually
Yes.
wearing my shirt today. Um, but people say they tend to look at it and say Masami. They put the emphasis on the wrong part. And I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit of the English um way of speaking, I suppose, because our brand was actually named after Masahiro, who's my co-founder's husband.
Oh,
It's
wow.
Japanese, so Masahiro, Masami, which means truly beautiful and all that. But people always say Masami. So I would imagine people look at your product and have that same thing. They go Naprim.
Naprim. Yep. And I'm like, no, it's Naprim. But yeah, I
I
just did
wonder.
all caps. We had N, lowercase a,
Yeah,
uppercase P. I've tried everything and
yeah.
I was,
It doesn't really.
you can't win.
You can't win.
No.
Yeah, no. I think. Anyway, I like it. And it's short and it's distinctive.
Yes.
So that is the key. Um,
Yes.
okay, so then your first product was the powder
Yes.
for,
Our
yeah,
dusting powder. I don't know if you can see that. Yep.
yes.
Yeah. So this, again, I wanted it to be applied directly onto the area where we were treating and alleviating. The traditional powder bottles would shake. They would get over our clothes. The floor looked
Yeah.
like a crime scene in the salon. It would get over our clients' clothes. And so I researched a ton of different bottles. I had about 50 stylists while I was coming up with the formulation and the delivery of the powder helping me. And then it was our own test market research. So all of our clients was telling us scented, unscented, this color, this bottle, until we finally found one that just lasted a long time, which is good. You could use a lot before, during, and after, and it'll pump directly on to the skin. And then
Love
it's
that
so
demo.
soft. It's
Yeah,
so
because oh
soothing.
my God, even just the way you just kind of rubbed it in, because
Yeah.
it's you expect a powder is gonna not do that. It's gonna you think it's gonna I'm gonna do it here with this one. But
Yeah.
the expectation is that it's gonna be all over.
Right.
And actually
It's
where's my
very
little
concentrated.
rub it on him now.
Yeah.
Dino, come over here. He's not the one with the problem, but that's okay. Okay. He doesn't want to come. Come here. Come here. I got something for you. He's like, it's not a treat.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway,
Yes. So they responded really well to it. And during the time of developing the dusting powder, my daughter was going through a horrible bout of eczema. So we did what any family does. You go to your pediatrician recommends the dermatologist. We go to the dermatologist. They immediately write the steroid prescription, send you on your way. Don't talk about the root cause, don't help you with anything else. And everything that was on the market was sticky and greasy, so it would
mm,
seep through her clothes. This was on her back of her legs, so she would wear pants to cover up her legs,
mm,
and the thick ointments and jellies would just seep through her clothes, so she would just have to stand there, wait till her legs would dry. Then it would just burn her skin and cause more irritation. She was 4, so super
uh,
sensitive already. Eczema and
yeah.
dermatitis, inflammation everywhere. You put that steroid on, and you try to apply it to the concentrated area, but when you're rubbing it, now you're affecting the skin that wasn't affected by the eczema and now
And
is
also
red.
it's on your hands, so you're getting it, you
It
know.
was a mess. And so I'm like, wait a minute, this powder was alleviating redness and irritation. It was soothing and calming. And then that's where I researched every plant to every root cause and symptom that she was having. So the redness, the inflammation, the irritation, repair her skin barrier, hydrate her skin with a powder. So we are very unique. We are the first doing what we are doing. And immediately when people think powders, you think drying of the skin. But it's not because of the marshmallow root, the colloidal oat that we have in here. It actually hydrates the skin and repairs the skin barrier at the same time. So we're getting to the root cause of all of the itch and the inflammation, the stuff that's debilitating, that keeps you up at night, that makes it spread and inflame even worse. So that's how I developed the nourishing powder. It's so interesting. It's like one day I sat there and I was like, I feel like I'm going to invent something. I was in the break room and I was like, I just feel it. And then few months later, here I am at ThinkBox in Case and trying to figure out how to develop an idea. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So,
That
but
is a great story.
I didn't want to use the steroid. It was bleaching her skin and it was causing more irritation. So I called them and I said, "Don't you have a natural alternative? Like, why are we using all this harsh
Yeah.
stuff and
And
toxic
they
stuff?
probably said
Where's?"
no, right?
They said no. Yeah, they are
That's
so one
also
way and
shocking.
not the
Yeah.
other. And I just was like, no, I'm not taking that for an answer either. I will make something myself. And so I was ready to launch during the pandemic. And well, I was ready to launch, and then the pandemic happened. Then I was like, well, I can't pitch to barbers and stylists who aren't working. Maybe other people would be interested in a powder. Maybe they're suffering too. Because,
Hmm.
you know, as a stylist, we hear everything. We see people's skin,
Oh,
we see
yeah.
their scalp, they tell us everything that's going on with their kids and with themselves. And so I just saw a gap in the market and just ran with it because I couldn't sit there for 12 weeks and not do anything. Like I
Yeah,
very
I'm like
passionate.
you. I just like, oh, I have to do it. And then I'm like, I have like juggling all these things that because it's hard to say no. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I wonder, my advertising brain clicks in because, I spent almost 30 years in that business. But it almost feels like you're creating a new category. We used to say when brands were like really unique like that, a product was really unique, that it was a category of one, that you're not a powder and you're not a lotion and you're not whatever else is out there, that's an
Right.
alternative, a cream or whatever. You're like
Right.
this in between thing that I wonder if you could call it something, call it Wowder or something, call it something, I don't know. Yeah, that's a stupid name, but come up with like a new term for it that you could own, because
Yeah.
it's so hard to break through these days.
Yes. It's
And
it's so hard because nobody's looking for a powder to heal their skin or
right.
treat
It,
their
it
skin
it's almost
or
like those things
alleviate.
don't go together. And I have a little bit of that because people think hydration for hair weighs your hair down. And we're
Yeah.
weightless hydration, which is almost like an oxymoron. It's like you're like hydrating powder. We're weightless hydration. And these things tend to, but I find the more we lean into that weird juxtaposition, the better, because then it gives people that aha moment when they use it and they're like, oh, this really is
Yes.
different, you know?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
very interesting. So then you started with the powder. You got a lot of good feedback clearly because it
Yeah.
was working. And did it really eliminate the sort of pharmaceutical grade products? That's crazy story.
Yeah. So the more I got into the science and the history of plants, I'm like, you guys, this is nothing new. I mean,
Yeah.
for centuries, they have been working with plants, like just in different forms, whether you take an extract or you take a plant in powder or aloe juice, like they all have powerful benefits to them, all anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. And when you really peel back and not just treat the symptom, which I think a lot of over-the-counter products and a lot of prescribed steroids, hey, you can use this, but it's going to have 15 side effects. Well, you can use
Yeah.
this and
No
zero
side
side
effects. Yeah. No,
effects.
that's such truth because oh my gosh, well, first of all, I mean, I'm a cancer survivor, so I have, I take all sorts of weird things now as a sort of prevention
Yeah.
thing.
Yes. Yes.
But the challenge is like my thyroid crapped out probably about 10, 12 years ago. So I have Hashimoto's. So you're taking, I'm taking Synthroid for that. Then I start adding on the other stuff. And before you know it, you're like a walking pharmacy. And also, some of these things interact in ways we don't understand.
Yeah.
And they can either cancel each other out or magnify the effects of the other drug or something. And you're ending up not really knowing what's going on. But I find that most people that have some kind of issue, whether it is an eczema and it starts to snowball and you end up getting other things.
It
And
is vicious cycle.
yeah, it's like a vicious cycle. And I feel like similar with hair and sulfates, and you know this, people will use a sulfate laden shampoo because they like the foam. Then their scalp dries out. Then your body produces more oil to compensate for the dried out scalp. Then they think their hair's greasy. Then they wash it again, double washing again with and it creates this whole cycle. And you're like, just stop, stop. But it's hard when we've been trained. And sadly, I worked in the industry that was guilty for telling people you got to wash twice, which is kind of
Mhm.
a fallacy too. Like there's just a lot of things that we take for granted in our world because we were told that's the way it is. And also think about how much money pharma has, right? And they have an agenda to continue to sell people those steroid drugs. So they don't want people to find solutions like yours.
Yeah, I found that. I was like, why are these dermatologists quickly writing the prescription, pushing us out the door? Because not just my story, but every person that came to me,
Yeah.
I wanted to know what was the history, what was happening. And I always look for patterns. And it was the same thing. I was using this, it caused irritation. So I went back to this, and then it caused this. And then we just keep going like this. I was like, stop using everything
Stop.
that you're using. Listen to me, please. Like,
Yeah.
I've been there, I get it. Use one thing, eliminate everything that has a fragrance in it, eliminate anything that has any irritation, because it's just going to cause more
Yeah.
inflammation. And I was like, just trust to use one thing. Like that's why this is so versatile. We talked about time saving. I'm a busy mom. I needed a
Yeah.
product that did multiple things. And when I learned 1 in 3 people suffer from skin irritations, I was like, redness, inflammation, irritation, all are common under that umbrella. Whether you have eczema or psoriasis or acne, or it all starts from that. And these things are just sitting on top of the surface. And so when I demo the powder, I show a lotion or a cream and it sits on top. And then
Yeah.
I demo the powder immediately absorbs into the skin. Why? Because the particle size of the powder is so
Smaller.
small
Yeah.
that absorbs into the skin. It works immediately. So when you're talking about kids itching and scratching, which causes more inflammation and irritation it to spread, you need to stop that immediately. Put the powder on. That's it.
But
Put it on when the skin is
it
moist.
seems counterintuitive, right? You would think the lotion would absorb in and the powder wouldn't. And that's the tricky thing. I think some really cool demos would be amazing because that is really interesting.
Yep,
I wonder if it works for bug bites.
it
I
does.
bet it
It's
does.
amazing for bug bites. Yes,
'Cause
it's
I
amazing.
I am like a mosquito magnet. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Oh, one little fun fact though, when I had cancer, it was 2021, that summer before I was diagnosed, we would go on hikes in the woods and I usually would be, eaten alive.
yeah.
Nothing. The mosquitoes wouldn't bite me. And then I looked it up and mosquitoes can smell cancer. They will
Oh my
literally
gosh.
avoid.
Wow.
That was like the first sign I had that something was not normal was
Yeah.
was that which is cool.
Wow.
So now when bugs bite me, I'm like, I don't care.
I'm good.
I'm like,
Yeah.
my blood is good. They like
Yes.
it.
It
Um,
does. It's great. So I'm like, put this in your camping gear, take this to the beach because it's great for sunburn.
oh,
So
sunburn
again,
too.
all of those causes, there's so many that the plants all work together. No, nothing is working against anything. And
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
yeah.
Okay, and then so that is going to answer my next question, which is why you got into the pet side, because it's such a clear need there. And he just went in the other room, but this big, sweet baby boy who is
Yeah.
100 pounds. And since he's my daughter's dog, my daughter and her boyfriend live with us. And they moved from Texas where they got him at the shelter. And he was perfectly fine there for like the first year of his life. And then he moves to the desert. And the sand and the pollen and all the stuff here is so irritating to his skin that he scratches himself bloody.
Yeah.
We have tried everything. I mean, we have taken him to the vet probably a dozen times. We've tried different vets. We've tried Apoquel. We had somebody tell us Benadryl. We had somebody tell us Zyrtec. We've tried all this stuff and it just doesn't really help. But I did start to put this on him and I could tell it doesn't, he needs, this is the tricky thing and they can't communicate,
Right.
but he needs it to not be so uh like irresistible to itch, like he's got to,
Yes.
and that is the key. And so I do think it's really helped him manage and limit the amount of scratching he's doing, which helps his skin heal, which helps everything get better. So
That's the
anyway,
good
that's my
circle.
personal experience. Exactly. We got to
Yes.
break the cycle. Actually, that
Yes.
would be an interesting sort of creative idea for you. Break the
Visual.
cycle
Yeah.
because
It
it
really
really
is
is on every level. Like what you're talking about with
the skin.
the skin and pets and everything. It really is about getting people to rethink.
So what's interesting, and I mean, obviously pets are pets, humans are humans. So we healed my daughter's eczema with a nourishing powder.
Shush. Mhm.
Everything was great. Fast forward 5 years later, she got sick. I see she gets sick, a virus in her body. They put her on antibiotics. She has an eczema flare. It's and then when I
Oh,
start to ask
interesting.
people, have you been sick lately? Did they put you on an antibiotic? Your immune system is down. Is it winter time? She would get sick every February. So she started to stress. She was older,
Mm.
aware of her arms where it was this time, right? It's
Yeah.
always something different. And her stress like made her eczema
Yeah.
so much worse. And then so when I was looking and researching at the time for the pet category, I'm like, they have anxiety, they're stressed, whether it's their environment or they have allergies to outside irritants, and
Yeah.
then scratching and they can't stop scratching because it's again
Yeah.
stressful. So the powder is actually calming, right? So like think about rubbing a sticky ointment, greasy creams, same
Yeah.
thing, even on a pet.
And
If
they
they have a hot
also lick it
spot,
off. That's the problem. Like we tried doing like coconut oil and he just licks it right off because
yes. They're just gonna look, they're gonna go back to it's like
yeah.
they do it without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so we got Bear, our chocolate lab, right in the pandemic because we were home and why not get a puppy? And our two yellow labs passed away the year prior. We had them for 15 years. And
That's a long
so,
time though.
yeah, yes. But I was like, the house is too quiet. I need to add
Yeah,
chaos.
I would.
The
Yeah,
puppy. And he had labs are prone to skin allergies. He had all over his belly and his underarms, and he just wouldn't
oh,
stop.
see,
And I'm like,
this sounds like Enzo, who is also a lab mix. He's black lab mix, and that
yeah,
he's 110 pounds, and that might be just a little funny thing though, is my parents' dog was named Bear.
oh, it's such a good name.
It is a good name, and he was a big snuggly. He was an Australian sheep, what is it? Australian cattle dog, sheepdog, cattle dog.
Oh, she
Anyway, he was very
big.
furry and sweet and
Yeah.
big and a lot of energy. But anyway,
Yeah.
so okay, so with Bear,
So
that
with
was
Bear,
how you got to really
I was
test it out.
yes. And I was like, oh no, I already know what to do. Went, researched, formulated the pet powder, and then applied it to him. He's very skittish. And so, again, just the application of the powder alone, massaging it in, whether I
So
apply
yeah,
it directly
not a
or with my
threatening,
hands,
yeah.
they love it. And then immediately he's calm. It's almost like you're massaging them, but it absorbs into their skin immediately. It doesn't sit on top of the surface for them to lick off. It's not going to burn when applied to a hot spot. It's going to help all of those irritations. So in doing hair, right? And having, we haven't even touched on the dry shampoo yet, but like
Yeah.
everybody's like, don't talk about the pet powder. It's so out of left field. And for me, I'm like, well, I'm a family brand. Like
Yeah.
I created products so that everybody in the family could use them. The moms are buying the products for themselves, their friends, their grandparents, their kids. Like, why would I not have something for our pets? Like they have skin
Totally.
irritations too. And we talk about it. And I just saw again a huge gap. So I'm like, you know what? This year I'm talking about my pet powder.
I love it. And I think the story tracks very well. I mean, it went right into that when you were telling the story of why you created it and what it solves. It's just a
Mhm.
natural, like, and you're right. Like, our pets are family. I'm sorry.
They're
Like,
babies.
they are. I mean, we have the two here and they're funny because they look identical, but one's 20 pounds and one's 110 pounds, but they're both black with a white stripe here.
Oh, yeah.
But like my little baby, he sleeps with us, snuggles with us. He's like my baby. He
And they
gets,
go everywhere with you. And I'm like, they have skin too. Why would I
yes.
keep putting him on prednisone? Why would I keep giving him steroid shots? Why would I keep
Yeah,
rubbing this stuff that's burning him and causing more irritation? Same as if I would put on my baby. Like,
exactly.
why shouldn't they have natural products too that are
They
good for them
deserve
and
it.
going into their skin and their body? Like, come on,
A
So
100%. Oh my gosh. All right, let's talk about the dry shampoo because that also
yeah.
feels like a natural evolution in the cycle.
Yes.
Because
So the
again,
dry
like,
shampoo,
yeah,
I mean, as a hairstylist, I have seen a lot of scalps, right?
yes,
20 years. And I saw a lot of redness and inflammation. I would see a lot of eczema and psoriasis
that's
behind the ear
yeah.
and the nape of the neck. I would see it up here. People were struggling with that side of it. And then they were struggling with finding a dry shampoo to blend into dark hair, as I was myself.
Ah,
And then
that's a
it
good point.
having natural ingredients and not being an aerosol. So I was like, we're going to check all the boxes. And then we're going to take it a step further because why would we not protect our scalp from the sun if we're driving in the car, if we're outside walking, if we're at sporting
Oh my
events,
God. Yes.
and putting it on our kids versus putting greasy lotions and ointments and creams and steroids on our scalp that's going to make our hair greasy. So that was another complaint when clients would come in and they would say, I got prescribed this, but it makes my hair so greasy. I'm like,
Oh my
we got
God.
to,
And
yeah.
okay, that's another thing which and I know being in the hair business is that thinning hair has become a real problem, and especially with women. In
Yes.
fact, I'm doing a podcast later today with a woman that I met in Miami who is a podcast called The Wellness Drop. And
Oh,
we had this like hour-long conversation about her hair because it was like seriously thinning and she went and tried to figure all this stuff out, but I mean she's in her 30s. It's just like, she's not my age. I mean, there's no, but I mean like it's like why is all this happening now to all of us? And now we're starting to understand, oh, microplastics, oh, that's a thing. And even though it's been around for a while, and it's frustrating to me because the beauty industry is not beautiful. And we have tried
it's
so hard to like, educate, but the big brands they're not interested or invested in the education process because their products are not all the things that you talked about, how your product is also non-aerosol and it's, all plant-based and good ingredients and, theirs isn't. So, you know, that is part of our challenge as little brands and why I do these because I think it's so important to educate people on and let them make their own decisions.
Yeah, I think the big brands have a lot of funding behind them and they and create this facade for everybody, but then yet they come and sit in my chair and say, "Well, I use this, but it's not working." I'm like, "Yeah, because honey, if there was a product out there that made our hair thicker, don't you think everybody would be talking
Yeah.
about it?" Even the Nutrafol, I tell them, Guys, long term, what is this doing to your insides of your body? Are you going to take these 6 horse pills how many times a day
Yeah.
for the rest of your life? Like, eventually, it's not going to be working anymore. I go, there are other things that you could do to stimulate your scalp and detox your scalp and, clear out the hair follicles, revive things. Like, the hair thinning is in the back of my mind for plants and powders to invigorate that
But
and help
even
that.
the fact that you make a colored product is
Yeah.
helps. It maybe doesn't, it's not going to grow your hair, okay? But
No.
it helps cosmetically, I think, fill in some of that scalp that's showing through to, like, I would think, make it look a little more seamless. But
Yeah, it adds, and that was the other thing. The dry shampoos that were on the market were so heavy that they
yeah,
left residue that you had to wash your hair, which was defeating the purpose of using the dry shampoo
yeah,
in the first place, but also like just grimy. And I'm like, you guys, your scalp is just as important as your skin. What you're putting on your scalp and what you're putting on your skin goes in your body. And so it needed to be good ingredients, but I needed it to add volume and texture to the hair because so many people with fine hair were struggling to get body and volume. They would use products and then they would say it would fall flat or
yeah,
it'd be too heavy. So I needed a lightweight dry shampoo. And so I was like, a powder is a perfect application. You could pump it again directly onto the
yeah.
hair, massage it in. I do it before I wear a hat, then I take the hat off, and then I just go like this and it revamps it. Like easy, easy
Easy
application.
peasy. And actually, it's the way you're talking about it, like, this is the kind of thing where do you make travel size?
I mean, this is like this
That is
is
a pretty small, yeah. I was
30
gonna say, like,
grams.
it's such a good thing to throw in your bag because of
Yes.
all the uses
Yes.
that
For the
I would
gym.
say, like, what a genius thing to carry with you for all those things we talked about. So,
Yeah, the more I got into the powders, I'm like, God, this is great for the environment. Like the carbon footprint is smaller, they last longer, the shelf life is longer. We're not wasting water, we're not diluting it down. So
right.
again, why they're so effective, a powder, is because it's not diluted with a bunch of crap and water. Its potency is so much higher because of the plants in that powdered form. So it's so much educating, but I'm here for the long haul because I really do think what I'm doing is so unique and different. But if we could just switch our, frame of mind around how we use products nowadays, stop using the ointment, stop using Vaseline and Aquaphor. It's not doing anything. It is sitting on
I
top of
know.
and doing nothing. It actually
And
has
it's also
petroleum jelly.
petroleum is terrible for the
Yes.
environment. So it's like,
Yes.
no, it's,
I know. I
but
think
this is the thing,
slowly,
like, no, no, go.
I think you could see this too. Slowly, everybody is seeing that what the toxic stuff is doing. Let's
Yeah,
start with our food. What's happening with the food right now and the food dyes? It's only going to move to hair and skin real quickly, and then it's like, oh, hi, we're a great brand. We're small, we're made in the USA, but we're very transparent. Every ingredient you see, you could recognize and pronounce. That's important. Less is more for your hair, for your skin, for your dogs. Like it needs to, we need to shift in that direction. And it's going to be hard because these brands have a lot of money and
I
some
know.
people care and some people don't. But I think the more people get sick, unfortunately, the more they have irritation, the more they have hair loss, the more stress on their bodies, they're going to turn to natural products.
Yeah, they're going to care more and more. I think you're right. It's just a matter of time, but it's sad because, yeah, to your point, it's like it has to get worse
Yeah.
before it gets better for people to
Yeah.
really start to go, oh my God. But, I will tell you, even when I got cancer in 2021, the amount of people who said to me, oh, I either had something or my sister or my mother, or, it's just become like the
It's
numbers are crazy. And I think, unfortunately, we're going to just continue to see that rise. And it's also happening in younger people. That's the
Yes,
thing too. It's because they used to say that, oh, cancer is inevitable. If you live old enough, you'll get it. Even my oncologist was like, well, you're old and you got I'm like, but I'm at the time I was like, I'm 54. That's not like
it's not old.
it's not cancer old.
Right.
Um, but it's definitely, yeah, it's challenging. But I mean, this is why it's so important what you're doing, because you really are out there educating, helping people with an alternative that's going to work for them. Because the challenge is if you have real problems and the only thing that works is a prescription, you're going to take it. You don't really have
Yeah.
a choice. But if there's alternatives like this, at least try it. That's what I will say to everyone, anyone who's listening. If you're skeptical, I hear you, but try it. There's nothing wrong with there's zero harm in trying something out,
Right.
and you might be shocked and
Yeah.
surprised, and you might find something that is now like your go-to product.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I,
agree
yeah,
with you. I think that they are hesitant on trying natural products because there's this facade that natural doesn't work or it's not effective. But now I also think that now they see, the wall that's pulled up, like, oh, well, these over-the-counter products aren't good for me either. And they're not working either. They're actually causing me to
right.
buy 5 more products that have caused my skin to be even worse. So I do say when people come to me, or just when I educate in general, like, it is not a one product that is going to heal your skin. It is a lifestyle change. Whether you're
Yeah.
talking about your hair thinning and your stress, did you have a surgery? Like I go through all this with my
Yeah.
clients. It is not one thing. One thing may have started it, but you're using 5 things that are making it even worse. And so I really do get in a conversation with them and I'm like, look, like we got to eliminate some stuff and just use this and be patient and give it time. I mean, we live in a world that you could get something delivered to your house today by 3 o'clock.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
they expect their hair to be long by 3 o'clock or
Yeah.
thick and full by 3 o'clock or their skin to be healed and cleared. It's like, well, you struggled with acne for 10 years and you think
Right.
you can use a product one time that's just going to heal it? No. But I'm going to talk to you about your lifestyle changes and give you a product that's going to help. And it's a whole system. Whereas any doctor, pediatrician, any over the counter product is just going to sell you the product and the dream. And that's just not it. And once they realize that, they're like, thank you so much for like really just going through everything, meeting me where I'm at in my journey. Like, just they need to be seen and
Yeah.
heard and not just brushed off to the next patient.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're so right. Well, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
And I realize, oh my gosh, we've been talking for
I know.
but there's so much to talk about. So I
Yeah.
think what we should do, we can close it out here, but I do want to hear if you've got stuff planned on the horizon, like what's next. And then I'm going to suggest we do a follow-up in a month or so, and maybe we invite another brand or two, and
Oh,
we can
yes.
pick up on this conversation about sort of
Yes.
like demystifying natural ingredients.
Yes. I would love
Because
that.
yeah, let's do that. That would be
Yeah.
fun. And maybe we can
Yes.
also stream it to our newly minted Facebook group. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yes.
But what's next for you? Do you have stuff planned in the hopper, more products, more? I mean, you're somebody who I can tell you're always coming up with the next thing.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse, I tell you, because then I'm like,
Yeah.
that would be great. Oh my gosh, we don't even have that. I need to make that. There are multiple products definitely in the works coming, but I want to make sure I really just hone in on our hero products right
Yeah.
now and build a community and a loyal following just around what we're trying to do with powders, and plants. And so the pet is really going to be, the maybe star of the show this year, which I think will be great. Because I just need to follow my gut and my instincts. And I think, as a founder, so many people have so many opinions about what
Oh
you
my
should do
gosh.
and how you should do it.
So many
And
opinions.
I keep coming back to like, no, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to rock the boat. I'm going to put powders back on a map in a sustainable way. I'm going to create a new category. I'm going to stand alone, like,
I love
so
that.
whatever I do, then I'm going to do that. And I think that's okay. And
I
that's
think it's better than
kind of where
okay. I think that's leadership, what you're talking about. Because that's one of the, spot on. It's one of the hardest things we deal with is all the feedback and input. And if you listen to everybody, you'd be nowhere.
nowhere. I was so confused for
Yeah.
a while. It was so much noise that I had to just step back and just be like, why did you start this?
Yeah.
What's your mission? Why do you want to keep going? I think I was just born for service, serving people. I do it all the time behind the chair, but also with the products that I create. Like, so I'm leading that way, and I'm just going to see what happens. And I kind of like going against what everybody says to do.
I'm with you. I am too. I like being a little bit of a challenger brand. But
Yeah.
anyway, and so where can people find you?
So, Naprim Naturals, we are on Instagram, on TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest. And then directly to our website is where you can learn more, shop our products. We are running, I don't know when this will air, a Mother's Day sale. So 30% off until Monday, all of our products. So naprimnaturals.com. And yeah,
Awesome. And you're also in two of the PBC locations. You've got
yes,
the pet product at Wendell House in Crozet, Virginia. So
yes,
anyone can go get that, all you lucky pet lovers that live in that area.
yes,
And then you're also in, I think, Clara Beauty Lab, right? On the
yes.
Upper East Side. Clara is wonderful, and hopefully people can also discover it there. So if you're in New York City, you can pop by Clara. She's right at 50 East 78th. And check it out.